Okay, that's my bad. Hi guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today is a fun little sit down video, which is a little bit out of the norm of my channel, but today we are going to talk about all of my favourite books, because if you know anything about me, I love reading. It's probably one of my favourite hobbies. It's become less of a unique hobby in recent years with the surgence of BookTok, but you know what, we're not even going to complain because BookTok has brought us some wonderful books. I have 13 books to talk to you about today, so we're going to go through them, and they're not going to be incredibly detailed reviews because that's not what it's here for. It's just to show you what I read, and I'm going to break it down into sections. We're going to have psychology, fantasy, romance, and fantasy is also going to encompass like dystopian slash slightly out of the realm of reality that's like something not romance. But first of all, let's start with psychology because that's the easiest one. I have 2 books in psychology, and it's specifically forensic psychology because that's something that I'm very interested in, and I would say if you're a Criminal Minds lover or a show similar to that, then you will like these books. These are actually non-fiction, which is not something I usually do, but basically it's The Dark Side of the Mind by Carrie Danes and The Devil You Know by Dr. Gwen Adsheed and Eileen Horn. I hope I said that right. But basically these 2 are very similar in nature, so I'm just going to talk about them combined. They're forensic psychologists. Each chapter focuses on a patient that they have who's committed a crime, and it basically delves into the mental state, whether they have a mental illness, goes through this. So there's people with schizophrenia, borderline personality disorder, I think even psychopathy, and it's such an interesting perspective on criminology and viewing crime as like a symptom of an illness, which I find so interesting, and I loved reading them. I devoured the books, and yeah, if you're looking to do anything non-fiction but you like that sort of crime, these are phenomenal books. Okay, now we're going to do romance because the last section is fantasy, and that's where I start getting confused, because one thing about me is, despite the fact that I love books, I have a terrible memory for them, and I am a massive trope reader, so they all sort of blend into one. For romance books, we have, oh, there's actually more, I just realised, because some of them are on my Kindle, so I'm just going to have to talk about them and show you. But we have, it just wouldn't be me if I didn't talk about Emily Henry, particularly Beach Read. I don't know if this is like a typical favourite. I feel like the typical favourites are usually Happy Place or You and Me on Vacation, or / People We Meet on Vacation. This is my favourite one just because I think it is such a unique idea. So it's basically this girl called January and this guy called Gus. They're both writers. He writes like crime or something. What does he write? I can't remember what he writes. I think he writes like horror or something like that, and she's a romance writer, but they both have writer's block, and they're like in competition for their position as bestseller, and so they go away on this like writer's retreat to attempt to come over their writer's block, and they hate each other, but they basically form a deal where he's gonna write in her genre, she's gonna write in his genre, so he writes romance, she writes something, and in exchange she'll basically teach him, like take him on dates to show him like romance, and he takes her to visit a cult. And it's just very interesting from like, as someone who's written a book, I find it very interesting, like overcoming the process of writer's block, and it's incredibly romantic. Enemies / rivals to lovers, like it's just such a good book, and Emily Henry never misses. But I will give an honourable mention to People We Meet on Vacation / You and Me on Vacation, because I reread that earlier this year or end of last year, and I loved it so much more the second time, and that's also a phenomenal book, and probably one of the only instances where I like dual timelines, because I'm not usually a fan of that, but that is also a great book. But Beach Read, and I also want to say any Emily Henry book I love, but this is my favourite. The next one is a Beth O'Leary book, who again, I love her books, but The Flat Share. Very cute little, like if you're into like building tension, like I will say I feel like the feelings happen quite soon without spoiling. Basically, a girl breaks up with her boyfriend and doesn't have enough money to get a place of her own, so she enters this flat share arrangement where he's a night nurse, so he works the night shift, so he's never in the apartment during the night, and so she can't be in during the day. So basically she's in the apartment during the night, he's in the apartment during the day. They never actually cross paths, but they like sleep in the same bed, they just change the sheets and stuff like that, and they communicate through notes. It is so cute, and honestly how the writer managed to build romantic tension without the characters interacting is amazing. And it's just such a cute, easy little romance read, and they've made this into a show, but I can't remember what it's on, but that is also quite a good show. Then we have The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren. This is basically the sister of the bride and I think the best friend of the groom. So it's Olive and Ethan. Basically everyone at the wedding gets food poisoning. They basically then take the honeymoon of the bride and groom, but she has to go with the best man. They both go, and she hates the best man. Are you sensing a theme with my love of enemies to lovers? She hates the best man, so but they go on this honeymoon together, which is obviously very romantic. And then Olive, the girl, runs into her boss, and I can't quite remember the reason, but she ends up basically saying that she's a newlywed. And then it's fake dating as well. Two of my favourite tropes. So again, this is not the romance reads, and there's nothing really like mentally stimulating about them, but that's kind of the best part. I read this a while ago and I just loved it. It was like a book I read in like a sitting. Then I think that's all my romance that I have the physical books of, but I have to say that I want to talk about Lynn Painter. I read what's it called? I read Better Than Movies, loved it. That actually in itself should be mentioned. I do have the book over there, but I can't bother to go get it. Nothing like, or Better Than the Movies, great. Didn't love Nothing Like the Movies as much, but still great. But I was like reading her books. I use her books very much as like a palette cleanser between fantasy. I read, what's it called? Betting on You. Might be one of the best romance books I've read in ages, and I cannot actually put my finger on what it is that was so appealing about this book, but I loved it. It was so good. And basically the principle of it is a girl's parents divorce. She is flying to see one of them, I think it's the dad, and there's this really annoying guy on the plane who won't stop talking to her. He's being rude, blah blah blah. She's like, oh my god. Then it's a couple years later and she has just been dumped, I think. She's just broken up with her boyfriend, or she's trying to get, I can't quite remember, but she essentially, then she gets a job and the guy from the plane is working at the place. Her best friend and this other guy are also working there, but her best friend's in a relationship, and the plane guy is like, she's gonna have like cheat with this guy, and she's like, I know my best friend, like no, that's never gonna happen. And so they're like, oh, you want to bet? You want to bet? And she doesn't really take the bet seriously, but he's like, we're betting, this is what's happening. And then at the same time, the other storyline is the mum has started seeing someone, and the girl gets kind of insecure and she's like, this is going to ruin my dynamic with my mum. And the guy, plain guy who has been through like a divorced parents, is like, you gotta like stop this from happening because it's never going to be the same again. And so she basically starts fake dating plain guy, and they try and break the mum and the boyfriend up at the same time. It's so cute, and like I said, I actually don't know what it was about this book that was so like addictive, but I recommended it to my sister when she just wanted a quick easy read, and she said the exact same thing. She was like, I read it all in like one go. It was phenomenal. So yeah, that is one of the best romance books I've read in ages, but I can't tell you why. Now let's go on to fantasy. I want to first apologise in advance if my descriptions of these books are very vague and I don't remember that much, but you're going to see quite soon. They're all very similar, but I'm going to start with two that are like not technically fantasy first, and one of them is The Inheritance Games. And basically there's this girl who like isn't very well off. She randomly gets told that she was written into this like million billionaire's will, but in order to get the money so she can live in his mansion, she has to live with his family, but she has to basically complete these like riddles and trials and like all of this stuff, because he was like, basically the whole family's really into games, like that's their thing. And the people that she moved in with, obviously the family, they all thought they were going to get the money and the like inheritance, so they're like not pleased with her. And there's like I think there's 4 brothers, and 2 of them are like romantic prospects. It's just really cute and interesting and very mentally like what is going on. Like you're trying to figure out all these like riddles, family secrets at the same time that she is. It is really good, and that's a trilogy, and they're all great, and they're all equally like mentally like whoa. Then I've just read the blurb of this one and I'm immediately confused because that's not how I remember. We've got Stalking Jack the Ripper, and it's basically, from what I remember, this girl who wants to... Hello. Are you on? Stalking Jack the Ripper, but I can't remember the plot, so if you could help me. This is the girl who basically gives me all my fantasy reads. Although it's not technically fantasy.
Stalking Jack the Ripper is about this young girl called, I think, Audrey Rose is her name? Audrey Rose, who wants to be
a detective.
No. I think she wants to be a surgeon. Hang on.
Oh, maybe
I think she wants to be a surgeon, and she dresses up as a guy to get into the lectures, and then she meets this guy called Thomas, and they start investigating the victims of Jack the Ripper.
Yeah.
It's like reimagined, so it's not actually Jack the Ripper.
Yeah.
But it's really good actually. There's a lot of banter. I don't think it was talked about quite a lot in the beginning on TikTok and on BookTok and all of that.
YA, it's not free.
It's part of a series, but you can read this as a standalone. I would read it. Me personally, read it as a standalone. The other 3. There's like a vampire one.
I vaguely remember. Maybe I did read them. Let's go very on theme at the moment. Powerless. I feel like this is the like OG romantasy. Maybe not OG.
It's not OG.
Not OG, but like at the moment it's the hot. She's got it signed. We went to go see Lauren Roberts talk. Basically, there is a girl called Payden. She has silver hair. She, however, does not have any powers. And this is bad because they're in a world where there's elites and ordinaries, and basically the elites have all the powers. It came around, there was a plague, and most of the ordinaries died, and the ordinaries are being hunted. You're like standing like a statue. The ordinaries are being hunted, so in order to survive, her father basically made her train as like a psychic, which isn't an actual power, which was a bit crazy, but they couldn't prove it wasn't, so he basically taught her the ways of observation
as well.
And then so her dad dies and she's out on the streets with her pal Adina, and she basically has to steal to survive, and so the guards are called Imperials, and she ends up stealing from one of the Imperials, and then she saves his life from a telly, I think.
Telly, yes.
Yeah.
Telly.
Oh my God.
And a silencer.
And a silencer. So he's like comes under attack. She ends up saving his life, and he's like, oh, girl, thank you. And then it turns out he's the enforcer, and he's like sus of her powers. Like he's like, oh, I can't feel anything, but like I don't know. And he brings her back to the castle. Bear in mind,
No, he doesn't.
No, he doesn't. For the trials.
No. Okay.
Oh my God. Okay, take it.
She saves him, and then everyone's gagged by her because they're like, oh my God, like, this person saved the enforcer.
Silver Saviour.
And then they start saying, oh, Silver Saviour, because of the head. And then when the trials get released, people basically have nominated her to be.
And the trials are like basically all the elites go in and like compete to show who's like most powerful.
But it's not like Hunger Games. Like you don't have to die.
You can die.
You can die. Like there is a winner. There is a winner.
Yeah.
People might die along the way, but it's not like
you're not sent there
to.
Yeah, you're not sent there to die. Yeah, and there's again 2 brothers. Yeah, it's phenomenal. It's so good. We're gonna move on to it's a bit of a interesting segue actually, because as mentioned, Lauren Roberts herself said that she got inspiration from this, but there is big book talk debate as to whether it is inspiration or plagiarism. But we are not going to say it's plagiarism, because I honestly am on the mindset of the amount of books that are out there, tropes are going to cross, things are going to happen.
And I think this is so, the love interests, very different. The writing style,
Very different.
huge.
It's just there's a similarity in the fact. So in this one, oh God,
she
I get
pretends
confused.
to be. So she has powers, but she's not supposed to have powers. So then she pretends to be part of the court to have powers. Hang on, no, so hang on. Oh, they have red and, okay, so
red and silver blood.
Yeah, red and silver blood, and if you have silver blood, you have powers. She has red blood, but she has powers. So then this is like crazy. So then they take her into the court, and then they say, oh, you're a long lost thing, to keep up appearances, because there is like a trial-esque situation where she reveals herself to have power. So basically, powerful, powerless.
Yeah. It's very good, and I will say we've described it very similar. It's not as similar. They are, when you read them, they feel very different. Shall we move on?
Yes. Wait, I just want to say one thing about the series. It drags.
I know it looks like these aren't my favourites.
He's a thief.
But...
He catches her. He's like the king-esque of. He's the Kazi or something. No, her name is Kathy. He's like the king thing, and then they both get snatched. Like, he's about to arrest her. She's been sent to arrest him. He's about to arrest her, and then they get captured by slavers, and then they break free, but they're chained together.
What?
And then they're together. It's like, I'm gonna bring you in.
Yeah.
But they're chained together.
I don't remember anything about it except from the fact that I was hooked. This is the final one that you can help talk about, because you've not read this. No. So, it's painful to talk about because it's so good, but Six of Crows. Oof. Sorry. Ooh. There's a lot of sensitivities with this. Basically, found family, group of thieves. There's Kaz, Matthias, no, not yet, that's a big idiot buddy. Kaz, Inej, Jasper, and they're the main. It starts with them. Starts with them, and they're like thieves, and they basically get a mission to steal something. Guys, my camera died, and we lost my sister in the process. So, I'm gonna try and get this done because I literally only charged it for like 3 minutes. So, bear with me. So yeah, basically they bring together this like band of thieves. Inej is like really good at acrobatics and like movement. Kaz is like an excellent thief. Jasper's good with guns. They hire like Wylan, who is good with bombs. And then there's another storyline going on at the same time, which is Nina, who is a Grisha, which basically means I'm never gonna get this video done, I swear. But basically she's a Grisha, which means she has magic, and there's another guy who is called Matthias, who is basically this like soldier who, again, they like hunt Grisha and they take them for slaves. So she's on a ship to be a slave. The ship wrecks, so she's stuck with Matthias, and basically it's the two of them together, enemies. And it's just such a good book. It's, again, one of the ones that's like so interesting, like mentally trying to figure out what they're doing, their plans for how they're going to break into the ice court. It's so good, and it was made into a Netflix show, but it got cancelled. I don't want to talk about it. The second book is also phenomenal. I will say that. We're going to talk about the final book before I run out of battery again, and that is A Court of Mist and Fury. You might be thinking, wait, ACOTAR, but that's not the first book. This is probably, I think this is the only book I have where I'm like, I prefer the second book. This book was phenomenal. It was so good. It was so amazing. ACOTAR was good. The first one was good.
this was better.
This is just like amazing. It's enemies to lovers. It's like realizing your reality in a different light. It's political intrigue. There is so much in this book, and this is why I prefer it to the first one, because the first one is more just like a romantasy. This has more to it. Again, it's like found family, and there's like the level of political intrigue, which is my favourite, because as much as I love a good old romance, if I'm reading a romantasy, I want some political intrigue. So we made it. That is all of my favourite books, and I would love to know your guys' favourite books. I'd love to know if you've read the books that I've mentioned, and if so, what you thought of them. And thank you for sitting with me and listening to all of that, and I will see you in the next video.